If you sin, you will know the position you're in. What we live in is a time where there aren't any actual principles, there is only utility. I feel this has grown out of materialism and individualism. Let me show you what I mean by that by using this post of Edward Snowden's. Looking at the reaction to Israel's Unabomber-style booby trap campaign from people who actually live in the region, it's created 100 times more enemies than Hezbollah could ever hope to recruit. Even from a military perspective, it's totally short-sighted. So, in a sense, Edward Snowden is making the point that even from a practical perspective, it's not a sensible strategy. It's kind of the same as what I was saying about Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and the censorship. Is it John Rawls? He's admittedly a kind of liberal social democrat who used the metaphor of the pizza. If you were cutting the pizza, but you didn't get to choose first, how would you cut that pizza up? You'd probably cut it up relatively equal. It's a simple sort of metaphor for it. But what it, I suppose, enables us to understand is we've let go some time ago of clear and reliable principles. Is it because of the death of religion? Is it because of the fall of the Berlin Wall? Is it because rampant globalism and bureaucracy has overtaken us? Is it because it seems our cherished principles that were once regarded as universal have been slowly eroded as we become little more than commodities or the consumers of commodities? Let's have a look at how a couple of news outlets covered the recent walkie-talkie pager story, and let's have a look at the principles that it suggests to us before looking at how Lindsey Graham and Ryan Ruth have some surprising things in common. This is why I think it's so important for us to connect with principles rather than outcomes. Don't you think, I wonder what it would be like if CNN, MSNBC, and let's include Fox just to make sure that the experiment works. Wouldn't it be good if they would give them the outlines of a story saying, this group has done this thing to this group, but we're not going to tell you what the group is, we're only going to tell you what the thing is, we're not going to tell you who the targets are and who the perpetrators are, and then you can use the principle, whether it's viable or right to use explosives in a foreign country, and if it's all right to use explosives in a foreign country, then everyone should be okay to use explosives in a foreign country, and if it's all right for children to be killed, then I suppose everyone's got the right to kill children. Quite soon, I suppose, you get to a point of something approaching a universal position of, well, I wouldn't want my children to be killed. I wouldn't mind if someone for a while would suspend them in like that thing that Han Solo was in, just to give me a break. But killing children, surely that's as close to universal as we're likely to get. Let's have a look at how this news story is being covered, for example, first of all, on a couple of news outlets globally. Check it out.
Lebanon is on edge tonight after another tech attack on Hezbollah. This time, walkie-talkies have exploded, killing at least 20 people and injuring hundreds more. It happened just as crowds gathered to mourn those killed yesterday by deadly pager blasts. There are also reports solar energy systems detonated in several homes. Israel's responded by declaring a new phase of the war has begun.
The logic of making all these devices explode is to do it as a preemptive strike before a major military operation.
Hezbollah started using pagers like this because it was worried about Israeli electronic surveillance. It thought that this old-fashioned technology was potentially more secure than smartphones, but that turns out to have been a deadly mistake as those pagers started detonating yesterday in a massive chain of explosions. Hezbollah is saying this is a covert operation carried out by Israel targeting its members. Now, the former director of the CIA tells us what appears most likely is that Israel somehow got into the supply chain of these pagers and planted small explosives in them before they were delivered to Hezbollah. The question is whether an attack on this scale will cause Hezbollah to back down or whether it will provoke them into all-out war.
I suppose it's likely that what it will elicit is a response of some description and will likely lead to an escalation. I'm trying my best, as just a person who's, I suppose, not directly affected and only an observer and a pundit, to remain able to observe what principles are at play here. Here's a way that might help you to understand it. This is the way I understand it, you might understand it in 1,000 different ways, I suppose, but different from one another. Do you remember when the Bush administration were vilified because of their attacks on Iraq, when apparently there were never discovered weapons of mass destruction that had to be sought out, and the Bush administration were condemned, Bush himself was ridiculed, the names like Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz and Cheney were bywords for globalism, imperialism, war and destruction. Then we find ourselves in 2024 and an endorsement from Bush staffers. Kamala Harris has received endorsements from over 200 Bush staffers. The Cheneys, every single member of the family, seem to be endorsing Kamala. And that's, of course, presented to us as if it's some kind of brilliant and unifying act. But the unification has already occurred. You have a uniparty. In the same way, did you notice in those newscasts there was a kind of tacit celebration of ingenuity? They're using pagers and stuff because they think it's going to be safer. But Mossad were ahead of them. I wonder if it's possible to even have a conversation, let alone create content, where you can simultaneously, in your mind, hold Israeli folk for whom you care and love, people in Gaza for whom you care and love, and walk in a principled fashion through it. Is it possible? Or do you think, let me know in the comments on Rumble or You Awaken Wonders, whether or not you just have to sort of go, no, I'm going to hate someone. I'm going to hate someone. We can't continue to bring you this beautiful content without the support of our partners. Wages are flat, expenses are up. It's hard to manage all the bills without grabbing for credit cards. If you're a homeowner and frustrated with that cycle, make a 10-minute no-obligation call to American Financing. Interest rates are dropping. If you're constantly carrying a credit card balance each and every month with a rate in the 20s, American Financing can show you how to use the equity in your home to get you out of debt. Be careful, of course. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving their customers an average of $800 a month. That sounds like a good offering. If you get started today, you may not have to make next month's mortgage payment without their assistance. If you're American, you can call American Financing today on 866-574-2500. That's 866-574-2500. It's only available to Americans out there, or visit americanfinancing.net/Russell. And if you think that's what we're really doing now is choosing who to hate, then you're going to love Lindsey Graham and Ryan Ruth, because Lindsey Graham is, you know, a neocon, a militarist, a military-industrial complex stooge, and Ryan Ruth is almost someone that I feel like I might have identified with once. He seems like a kind of idealistic, if misinformed, righteous guy who believes in something. And yet both of them are ultimately saying the same thing, at least according to this fascinating piece of analysis by Tucker Carlson.
And I'm watching this. They're literally telling me that this guy whom they've arrested is a Trump supporter. Huh? So you flip channels and then you learn that I flipped over to a channel I used to work on. And there's Lindsey Graham. And I know. He's a Republican senator from one of the most conservative states. How does that happen, by the way? If democracy is real, how is Lindsey Graham a senator? But whatever. So I'm watching Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham's looking right into the camera, and he's like, you know who did this? Iran. Iran? So I looked into this. Yeah, well, that's for sure. Well, it turns out someone is a warmonger. Well, the guy who shot Trump was also a warmonger. And in fact, the closer you look at it, the more you realize his politics are exactly the same as Lindsey Graham's. He's a neocon. He literally volunteered in Ukraine. And Lindsey Graham's like, no, Iran did. It's like, no, you have no opinions that are different from this guy's. And you're lying to me. And the audience I used to speak to 5 nights a week, you were lying to them. I'm shouting this in my hotel room. Nobody heard me. My wife was brushing her teeth. She's like, what is that? They're lying! It drove me completely insane. And there's no mention of the fact that this guy, who, by the way, has been interviewed by every media outlet in Washington, this guy was like a very famous guy. You may not even know this. There's only really one place to learn any facts at all, and that's Elon Musk's social media app. It's crazy. I don't have a TV at home, so I'm spared most of this. I have no idea what's going on. By the way, I strongly recommend ignorance. If you're looking to stay happy in a moment like this, just know less. Unfortunately, my job requires me to know more, but if you think about it, did God punish Adam and Eve for ignorance? I don't think he did. He punished them for knowledge, so maybe I shouldn't watch cable news. This was I don't want to know what they're saying, but this week I've had to pay close attention. And every single thing is a lie, either directly, or it's a lie much more prevalent and much more sinister. It's a lie by omission. They're just not telling you the facts. And without belaboring the point, I'm using this as just one example among a countless number of examples where reality is completely distorted and the average person has not only no idea but no way of knowing what the truth is. So the guy who is now in custody for attempted murder against the Republican nominee, the former U.S. President, Donald Trump, that guy has been interviewed countless times by every big media outlet in the United States. He's got, a criminal record the length of your arm, 20 charges, including possession of weapons of mass destruction. The New York Times didn't bother to learn any of that before they held him up as a freedom fighter in Ukraine, where he was living. And then the piece describes the contact he's had with members of Congress and their staffs and other U.S. government agencies. You're like, wait a second, that's the same guy who brought a rifle with a scope to a golf course in South Florida to murder Donald Trump, and he's had all these contacts with U.S. government agencies? Like, I don't know what that's about, but I think it's time to find out. No? Yes. But no one's going to find out. It's just going to be memory holding. In a week, it will never have happened. And you'll be the crazy person for remembering. People are like, what? Didn't some Trump supporter bring a rifle because you're against gun control or something? It's like, no. That's not what happened. A guy who was a darling of the New York Times, who has the exact same worldview as Lindsey Graham, decided to try and murder Donald Trump, and it'll be completely gone. It will have disappeared.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting perspective. Horseshoe politics is almost a cliched phrase these days, and maybe in two peculiar and anomalous examples, like dear Lindsey Graham, God love him, God bless him, that unusual porcine and sweltering individual, that odd little Jim Henson creation, that peculiar occupant of the labyrinth, so odd and idiosyncratic. I half expect him to start worshipping David Bowie's Wizard King, Pixie King at any moment. And him and one of the Trump assassins having a sort of a shared purview shows us how messy things have become. So, I suppose principles are costly, aren't they? If you have principles like, I am anti-establishment, I recognise that I have a personal responsibility to participate in changing the world. There are points where you will make mistakes. Certainly I make lots of mistakes, but at least you'll know when you're doing them rather than continually metastasizing into some creature of convenience. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comments and the chat, guys. And remember to like and subscribe wherever you're watching this.
But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Missouri, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.
Hidden away in secret back chambers all over Cormier are old paintings of this or that noble embracing a nude Princess Alusair as they both smile out at the viewer as if at ease in intimacy.
Hail and well met, and welcome back to another Realms Lore episode. I am here with the original creator of the Forgotten Realms himself, Sir Ed Greenwood, and since Tasha's Cauldron of Everything patronage has been a pretty hot topic in the D&D and Forgotten Realms space, and we want to expand on that a little bit today. Ed, you want to give him a taste?
Sure, yeah. So in this video, we're going to talk about not just, patronizing somebody because you buy your bread or your meat from them, but the sort of people who can commission stuff, who have enough money to create stuff that they want to see. So they get to start fads and fashions in the realms, not just, funny portraits of their dog.
And we would love if you would patronize us over at patreon.com/EdGreenwood. And your support there is actually what facilitates us being able to make these videos for you here. So in the interim, though, please enjoy this Realms Lore video.
Maybe
Patronage
you
badges.
just get lucky.
I'd like you to create this for me. Patronage in the Realms. Patronage is an accepted part of society in the Realms, and because entities or organizations need to have spare wealth in order to be patrons, in many places being a patron is a status symbol. Nobles are patrons if interested in such things, and wealthy status seekers or even wannabe nobles noisily become patrons so as to enrich their lives and gain a loftier social standing. In some places and times, this even becomes institutionalized. For instance, the Crown of Cormyr expects nobles to have house heralds, meaning heralds who are paid members of the noble households. In earlier days, these heralds were often supplied by the royal court, and hence mistrusted by the nobles as spies for the crown. These days, a rare few still come from the royal court. In other places and times, the wealthy compete to outspend each other, to commission creations that are splashier and gaudier, and larger or more abundant than their rivals commission. The results can be visually spectacular, in the eyes of some, tasteless, and so become landmarks, or at least immediately recognizable to any visitor. In most places across the heartlands of Faerun and along the Sword Coast, the local nobility or self-styled nobility, city lords, even if it's a self-bestowed title and they're former pirates, adventurers, or lowly millers or dockers, will patronize artists, weavers, and sculptors whose work they like to make portraits, usually large and flattering, and of the patron, sometimes depicted embracing a partner they yearn to have in life, but cannot have in reality. Hidden away in secret back chambers all over Cormyr are old paintings of this or that noble embracing a nude Princess Alusair as they both smile out at the viewer as if at ease in intimacy. Tapestries and sculptures, busts and staircase finials being the usual initial projects, followed by bronze statues for local market and mansion gates display. Less popular but still numerous patronages are supporting local cooks, bakers, vintners, and brewers. Though, if possible, the wealthy patron usually tries to hire the skilled artisan into staff positions. This is followed in popularity by minstrels who can compose. Jesters are usually royal court positions. Relatively few nobles or wealthy folk formally patronize such performers, instead making a glib ability to entertain, amuse, and impress with juggling and acrobatics a plus when hiring scribes, envoys, errand runners, and other more practical household positions. Indeed, jesters in the realms have a certain unlucky or cursed reputation thanks to embellished and retellings folklore about past individuals who were undercover spies for rivals or were wizards, sorcerers, or warlocks hiding in plain sight in such roles to get free food and board. In places and times where their gift and chosen profession would make them hated, feared, shunned, exiled, or executed. Certain Netherese survivors experimented with magical longevity that had not yet extended to lichdom, or who were stealthily gathering necessary material components for an attempted process to achieve lichdom, and these have been many and varied down the centuries, often took positions as jesters or court sages when such positions were dominated by colorful storytelling duties in the past, and the stories of their betrayals, intrigues, and even eventual conspiracies to seize local rule have come down to realms folk today in a collective manner that is conferred a cloak of suspicion and untrustworthiness to jesters. Dirty old man is a flattering Faerunian view of a jester. Sly lurking villain seeking the throne is the stereotype. Every buyer in the realms, if they can, will develop favored suppliers over time. Shops or artisans they trust to provide them with boots or belts or bowls or radishes. So they are in the broadest sense patrons. But I'm talking now about the narrower sense of patronage in which a buyer is commissioning unique or personalized products. Make me not just a dagger, but a left-handed dagger with that blued blade I saw that you made for Lord Bladderbat, and a gilded handle that looks like a rooster's head. These sort of patrons pay more, and their tastes influence what's made, and if seen by others and considered attractive and perhaps practical, not just odd or unusual, may even start fads or longer-lived fashions that drive change or even development. Examples of such fashions include the half-cloak, popular for centuries in Cormyr, that over time spread to Sembia, Waterdeep, Neverwinter, Baldur's Gate, Zazesper, and beyond. A half-cloak is a pleated length of splendid for-show fabric, such as shimmer weave or even cloth of gold, which hangs down a wearer's back from a yoke or baldric, almost always of the same material as the hang, that passes under one armpit and over the opposite shoulder. They are impractical, purely for adornment. Fads are short-lived fashions. In the realms, these have recently included such things as side-table statuettes of sculpted dragons cradling eggs, designed to be candle lamps that channel their smoke up the dragon's neck and out of its snout, and tinkling chimes miniature water clocks. Miniature meaning about the size of a human toddler. The chimes and the small size made them inaccurate at time-telling. Fads ripple outwards along the trade routes from where they first arise, and usually fade swiftly, but may be still spreading as many as 3 years after they've died at their sources. They may linger in some places due to differing local tastes, and usually leave behind knickknacks in curio shops everywhere they reach. Residents of Waterdeep today, if your Realms campaign is set within a year or so of 1500 DR, will be familiar with at least 3 lavishly spending patrons. The rival nobles Feldrin Arturnel and Artegus Thal, and the wealthier than both of those nobles put together wannabe noble are Haberhathon Manturvel, purchased 3 grand adjacent houses, and is deep in a decades-long war with the palace to obtain permission to join them. He's gone ahead and tried thrice without the approval of the Masked Lords, and thrice has seen the Watchful Order arrive to magically dismantle the work and restore the structural separation, but he is nothing if not stubborn. Mantavarel is of increasing interest to adventurers as he hires them for shady, get-around-laws missions, often after the palace fined him heavily and threatened him with imprisonment followed by exile for hiring too many mercenaries at once for the same purposes. His patronage is wide but shallow. He commissions everything from walking sticks to ever-changing, elaborate personal monograms, which are his preferred form of heraldry. And he's currently concentrating on elaborate, showy tunics and doublets, and short motif music and fanfares to accompany him as he promenades about the city. He's a slender, short, handsome, blonde man who always wears gold earrings and elaborate gold filigree and gem spectrals over his bare chest. Jewelry usually worn only by older, wealthy Waterdavian women, or younger ones only upon height of formality occasions. Feldrin Artemel is the second son of his house, and is a tall, thin man with dagger-bored sideburns and smoldering green eyes, who's very good with finances and serves House Artenal as a watchdog over their investments and those they do business with. Aware of his awkwardness with women, and hence his lessened chances of attracting a suitable wife or even arm candy, whose company isn't paid for feasts and revels, he patronizes writers of flowery phrases who can arm him with glib words to use in flirtation and courtship. He's also the patron of dressmakers and tapestry weavers on behalf of House Artenel, who provide Artenel noblewomen and their ladies-in-waiting with a steady stream of glittering gowns and night cloaks, and has recently embarked upon a project to freshen the gloomy old portraits hanging in the Artenel city mansion with larger, grander, and brighter replacements. Artigus Thal is a bad old uncle of his house, what is popularly known as a wastrel uncle, and was responsible for a steady stream of minor scandals in his earlier years involving roistering, smashing windows and furniture in drunken brawls and pranks all over the city, and the conquering of the wives of other nobles. Later, as his vigor and delight in fleeing furious husbands declined, he took to gambling in clubs, lost a lot of foul money he shouldn't have been wagering, and was finally steered away from gambling to becoming a patron of crafters of the unusual all over the city. From staves and walking sticks with oversized carved heads of such things as tongue-out leering goblins and built-in lanterns, to glass decanters made in molds and then polished that take the shape of two-headed dragons with the necks forming double handles, to staircase finials that are nested balls, spheres inside spheres inside spheres, carved with windows allowing a passerby to see tiny carved scenes within them on the surface of deeper balls. Artigus is slowly redeeming himself in the eyes of his family for his staggering gambling losses by breeding fine horses for sale and slowly repaying what he cost House Artemel. These days, he uses hired adventurers for swift, single-mission, get-even strikes at those who swindle or mock him. So, patronages can take many forms and result in such varied things as a new supply of custom combs or toothpicks, or a new fleet of elegant merchant ships or even warships. Some are flamboyant and public and boasted about, and some are private and silent, with arrangements made to try to keep them that way. Like alliances and illicit romantic affairs, they are everywhere in the realms. Some folk blunder through them, obliviously, on a daily basis. Hi, welcome back to Realm Speak. And this time around, we're doing this. Amazing. And this is one that literally has lots of correct pronunciations. Acheron, 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 Acheron. So most people settle on that first one. All of them are correct. Acheron, Acheron, whatever you want. Acheron.
My mind is finally clear.
Because guess what? The particular entity in question will hear happy no matter what you say. There's also a river of the same name. The two of them are related. Acheron. 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 Be very careful.
And today, hold on. I want to say something to the degree of, since Tasha's Cauldron of Everything came out, patronage has been a pretty popular topic in the realms, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look. Do you want to? Whatever. Okay. Sorry. I'm easy. One more time. It's patreon.com/Ed Greenwood. And, why did you shake your hand?
Shouldn't take long. So many people.
I thought that was a cue, man.
Well, I was like, there's a really great tie in here for Patreon to Patreon, and if you want to help support that.
Oh.
Hi, honey.
Now,
okay.
if you'll excuse
Okay.
You're invigorating, but
Here
I want
we
something
go.
more filling.
It's gonna be hell for the next editor that has to deal with this.
Oh,
AKA Lee.
have another drink of wild turkey.
Yeah, fine. Anyway. Yes.
And were changed by doing so into lich-like beings of long life and many powers over undead, who grew intricate antler-like bone horns out of their heads and acquired strong burning red glows in their eyes.
You watch as he stalks towards the forest, stronger, more confident.
Hail and well met, and welcome
Ready
back to
to
another
hunt.
Realms Lore episode. I am here with the creator of the Forgotten Realms, Ed Greenwood, Bone Lord himself. You want to give a little bit of an explanation about what we're working with today?
Sure, so today's video is to serve the Lord of Bones, and in this case, the Lord of Bones is the god Merkel. And what we're going to investigate is what it is to be a cleric of Merkel. So if you've always wanted to know about those weird clerics with the skeletons on their black robes, this video's for you.
If you are enjoying these Realms Lore videos, please be sure to check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/EdGreenwood. And your support
Good morning. How do you feel? It'll pass. Just be glad I'm not a true vampire. A bite from them and you might wake up as a vampire spawn, like my good self. All of a vampire's hunger, but few of their powers. Oh no, I should be cinders in this light. I hadn't seen the sun for 200 years before we crashed here. Someone, or something, wants me alive. They've changed the rules. Standing in the sun, wading through a river, wandering into homes without an invitation. They're all perfectly mundane activities now. As for my other quirks, well, we can figure those out in time. You're such a sweetheart. I'm just glad you're being sensible about these revelations. I was worried people might turn up with torches and pitchforks. Although there's still time.
A vampire? Well, that explains the pallor. Given our group's nature, I don't see much harm. We're each monsters in the making, after all.
For his sake, he best not develop an appetite for Githyanki.
Quite the opposite. I'm here in the spirit of openness and honesty to work together as a team.
Maybe we could get him to wear a bell. Dissuade any nighttime prowling.
There now. We're all friends again. Shall we go? There's a long day ahead of us.
No es que no hable español en este video, es simplemente que no tengo nada que decir. Los influencers y los shakers and movers siempre tienen mucho que decir. Yo no tengo mucho que decirles. Estoy aquí con mis gatos. Ya es tarde. Disfruto mucho este juego. Entonces, ¿qué más puedo decir? ¿Qué más puedo decir? Voy a jugar un poquito y luego a dormir. Perdiendo muy a la niñita en este juego. Voy a tratar de rescatar al druida. Que lo perdí en el otro juego. Ah, no. Aquí no quiero.
Cursed to put my hands on everything.
at the ready.
Bueno. Hola. Ah, con Robin.
Robin.
¿Quién eres tú?
Paloma.
Palomita, la de los medievales. ¿La medieval?
Sí.
Ah, ¿cómo estás?
Es que aquí nada más como no tengo registrado,
Ah, está bueno. ¿Y qué puedo hacer por ti?
no, nada más para apoyarlo y darle
Saludos. Saludos. Ya te tengo registrada.
Ándale.
Un saludo, hasta luego.
My faith protects me. Need to keep going.
Is that blood? No, never mind. Time to press ahead.
boring. Ugh, I hate swamps. The place reeks. Probably full of bloodsuckers as well.
Shadowheart, you wound me.
Here goes nothing.
Keep that bird away from the merchandise.
Statue of Seluna. This ruin must have been dedicated to her.
Nothing beats the taste of stolen beer.
Bloody racket! Oh, come on now. They're just having a bit of fun. Aye, so much fun that those thieves almost got past. We got them now, eh? And once the whelp starts singing, we'll know who sent them.
Seluna. As if mingling with a horde of goblins wasn't bad enough. Let's do what we have to do, then get out of here. Seluna's a bad omen. Just look what's befallen her temple. Though I'll grant it must have been impressive once, in all its profane glory. I wonder what happened. No matter. I'll breathe easier once we're clear of this place.
We'll know who sent them. Oi! We ain't said you pass! You don't pass!
Oi! Ain't no party in here! We're doing the Absolute's work! State your business. Now.
As the symbol glows, power courses through you. Authority. A shadow swings across your vision, and a familiar voice tells you to be calm. You are loved.
Beg pardon. You must be here to join the other true souls. Please, go right ahead. Bloody racket.
Oh, come on now. They're just having a bit of fun.
More Seluna idolatry. No sign of her father's burnt flesh.
For you, priestess.
Because she chose me. You're not worthy yet. Yeah, and the one thing I learned down there, don't matter if you're a slave or a king, Drow will pluck out your eyes if you look at them wrong. Are you ready for the absolute mark on your flesh?
My faith will guide me. Onward.
Yeah, and then I'll hear her voice.
You're too feeble. Her voice is a blade. It'll cut your brain to bits. None of you are worthy. Such a disappointment.
How do we get closer to her?
Do what us true souls command. Spill the blood of non-believers.
Apunta el modo fluido. Hasta mañana.